Welcome in, everybody. Happy Saturday. We're here with iText7 again. So we're going to be working with iText7. Last week we worked with iText7 a little bit as well. So today's going to be another shorter stream, but we're going to try to get as much done as we possibly can. So on the last stream here, let's just pull up our code from the last stream so we can see what we've done so far. So in the last stream, we actually managed to, let me just delete a bunch of these PDFs here. Just 'cause we don't really need these. Delete these. Let's delete this dummy PDF here. All right, so in the last stream, we were able to actually fully create PDFs, and we actually managed to create PDFs with text and an image in them. So if we go ahead and we actually just run all of this code here, we should see a PDF get created. And then if we go ahead and we go and open that PDF here, we can see that our PDF is created with our text and with a little logo here. So everything is actually working correctly. So today what we're going to be taking a look at, we're going to continue on with the iText just chapter 1 examples here. Since they don't do it with PowerShell, it takes us a little bit of time to go through these, but we're going to create a list today. And then if we still have time at the end, we're going to create a table as well. We're just going to use the same CSV. And then maybe on a next stream, maybe we can do a get command or something. And do it with like data from services or Active Directory or something like that. But let's first take a look at a list. Sometimes it does take us quite a bit of time to figure out how to create these in PowerShell. And I do have also some references from a GitHub here that might be able to help us. But let's go ahead and let's take a look at that here. So let's open up our Visual Studio Code. And what we're going to do here is we are just going to rename this one, this script here, to text picture PDF. And what we're going to do now is we're going to create a list PDF.ps1. And all we're going to do is we're going to want to make sure that we go ahead and kind of create our base PDF here, which is just going to be this code here. So right now we're just loading in all the assemblies and then creating our little PDF here. So I'm going to name this list.pdf. So I think really the first step that we're probably going to have to do is create our writer and create our document, which is perfectly fine. And so, okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So we can actually go ahead and actually just take that directly from here. So we have our PDF writer and our PDF document here. Let's go ahead and let's just put this right here. So we have our new PDF created. Close this. Let me save this. And then we can go ahead and start adding our new text right off the bat here. So let's go ahead and let's just create a little heading here. And we're going to create that as iText dot, I believe it was dot kernel dot PDF. Sorry, it is itext.layout.element.paragraph. So let's do that. Let's do dot layout dot element dot paragraph. And I believe it was new. Yep, it is new here. And then we're just going to put our list of favorite foods. And then if we go ahead and we just do a doc dot add heading, and then we could do a PDF dot close here. That should, in theory, give us our little preview of what our PDF is going to look like, which it should only have our little heading, basically, our list of favorite foods, and then we're going to add our list right below it. Let's go ahead and let's try to get that. So once we add our heading, go ahead and let's look at this documentation here. So they are just creating a list, and then they're setting up the different fonts. And I believe, and then there's list items. So I believe that that will just be a list, and then equals iText dot layout dot element dot list. And we're going to say it's a new. And I don't think that there's anything in there. So they only use the dot notation here. So let's just see if we can do that as well. So list dot, what were the different options here that they had? Set symbol indent, set symbol indent 12, list dot, they also had a list symbol, set list symbol here. And I think that all they did was put that as U2022. I'm sure we could probably get a list of these here. Let me just go ahead and let's look that up here real quick. Let's pull up Google real quick and let's do iText list symbols. Okay. Not it. No. Right. Okay. I'm just trying to see if we can find all the different list symbols. I feel like that could be handy to know. Maybe this is it. That list symbol. The default list symbol is just a dash, which I feel like that's probably fine in most situations. Symbol is a textual symbol. Returns this list. Yes, I almost think you could probably just put anything you really want in there. So if we try to do, let's try to do it as a star icon. Okay. And let's go ahead and let's go back into our example here. So once we do a list, then we are doing a list.add, and then we are doing a new list item. Okay, so I think that should be fairly straightforward as well. So let's do a list.add, and then we are adding a iText.layout.element.list item. And we want a new list item. We're going to do a list item is going to be a burger here. All right, and then all we're going to do is we're going to do a doc.add, and we want to add a list here. So save that, and let's run this code. And let's go see our PDF, see if it's actually with a list here. There it is, and there's even our little star icon. So we actually did manage to get that. So let's go see if we can say, because I believe that that is a character. Yeah, that is a character. So let's do a, let's do Unicode character list. Make a very, very nice one here. Let's do a copyright symbol. We can do some currency symbols. Let's try to find. Let's do Unicode bullet symbols. Try to look at that. Okay, so I like this triangular bullet. So that's going to be a U2023. So let's go ahead. Let's go back into here. Let's do a U2023. Save that. Let's run our code here. Reopen our PDF. Okay, so all we get is the actual U2023, which is not what we want. We want it to take the Unicode representation of that. Now I wonder if I go here, so new PDF list. Okay, so we do need to do a slightly different thing for PowerShell here. So if we actually go back to our code, it seems that we need to do a regex. And then we're going to change that to U2023 here. Let's save that. Let's see what this does, if it works. Pull up our list here. And it still doesn't work. And I know that they said sometimes your font won't have, depending on what font you're using. Let's try the 2022 here. won't actually have the bullets. So that's very, very important to actually make sure that your font that you have takes in the bullet as well. I want to make a different bullet altogether though. Let's try this 2043. See if that one works. It does not. I wonder if we can set the font. Maybe if we set up our font to be as well. PDF font factory. Now I don't know if that is in iText or not. iText dot commons dot, nope, definitely not there, dot layout dot elements or dot font maybe. Font selector. Layout dot element dot so that doesn't seem to show me too much here. Let's go see if the GitHub has any font options here. So it's kernel.font.pdf font here. Okay. But it does seem to also have a get PDF constant font. Get PDF constant fonts. I don't know where that's from right here. Script and then PDF font validation. I don't font validation. And we just look up this. Like, does this give anything for us? Does. Does this give us like all the different fonts that are available maybe? Is that what this does? It does. Okay, perfect. So we can get all of these. So let's do timed Roman. Um, so, oops. So now that we have the name of the font here, let's go back here, back here. Okay. So let's actually copy this code that they do for the font here. And we're going to try to recreate this in PowerShell, for example, here. So we're going to need to do a itext.kernel.font.pdf font factory. We're going to say it's just a new here. Then we're going to do font factory equals font factory here. And we're going to do a font factory dot, and we don't have anything there. Times Roman. What does this give us? New. Okay, so that's still nothing there. Let's go back into here where we are. So it is a create font. Okay, so let's do a create font times Roman. Type of font times Roman not recognized. Okay, so that's where we need to do this get constant font, which the get constant font for them returns this. Okay, so I think if we do that, okay, so that will be, so if we actually cut this code, put it in here, this should create us our Times Roman font, which it does. Okay. And let's do a list dot set font, which is going to equal to font. Save that, and let's run this here. Let's go look at our list. So our font does change, but that bullet is still invalid. So let's just go ahead. Let's put that to a regular bullet. It'll be fine. It's not going to look as maybe as original, but it's still going to be fine. It's still going to work for what we want it to. And we can add a whole bunch of lists here. So what we can actually even do is if we do list of users here, we can actually say that users equals get 80 user filter star on the server. And then we can do a for each user in users. And we can add our list item here. And we are going to add user.name. And let's see what this looks like. Let's open up our list here. There's our list of users. So we can easily generate like very nice lists if that's the type of report that we need. Let's say someone needs a list of licenses or a list of users or a list of locations. We can easily make this into like a nice little PDF, which can be quite handy compared to like a CSV file or something if they want it to be, if you're not giving it to someone technical pretty much. That's where these examples would be very, very handy. Let's go and let's try to make now a table with the same type of idea here. So let's make a table.pdf. And oh, actually not a table.pdf, sorry. We want a table.ps1. We're going to be creating the table.pdf. So once again, let's just go ahead. Let's copy our code that just sets up our PDF. And we're going to paste that in here. And we're just going to change the name of our PDF to table.pdf. And let's go ahead and let's look at the example here first on the iText website here. So they're creating a new table. Which I don't really understand these values here. So we create, which we defined. Okay, so all of these are the relative widths of the columns. So let's make our table with I'm just gonna say we're gonna make it with 3 columns. For now anyways. So let's go ahead and let's do that here. So let's just, what we're gonna do is let's copy this whole code. So we don't have to keep coming back and forth to this. All right, so we have a table here. So let's do table is going to equal iText dot layout dot element dot table, and we want to create a new table, and we want to create it with a, let's do 3 3 3. So it's going to be our columns. They're all going to be equal size. I think that's going to work. So if we do that, okay, so we get no errors. And then let's do a table dot set width. Um, and we're just going to put that to 100. See what that does. So now that we have our table, now we need to add lines to our table here. Which that's going to be a little bit more complicated. If I remember when we looked at this a little bit the other day, we're going to need to create a cell element and then add our cell into our table. Um, okay. So if we add our cell to our table here, so let's just do this. By hand here. So let's do paragraph equals iText dot layout dot element dot paragraph new, and we're just going to put title 1. We're going to add that in there. Let's do title 2 and title 3. So that in theory should add all of our titles. And let's do that. Add our table here. And let's close our PDF. And let's go ahead and let's run that code here. And we're going to see what it looks like. So it does create our table. So now I wonder if we copy these 3 lines in theory, we should, in theory, now see 6 cells. We should see 3 cells below this now. We do. Perfect. So it automatically realizes how many columns we have. That's perfect. All right, so what we're going to go ahead and do is let's just keep one of these. Does the cell have a... It does have a set font, which is going to be good because we might want to set the headings of our table as bold. Also, let's play around with this width as well. So let's just do 1,000. All right, and let's do a very similar idea. So what we're going to do for this one, instead of 80 users, let's go ahead and let's do services. So let's do a services equals get services, or get service, sorry. By default, this gets us everything that we really need. So that is fine. That's perfect. And then let's do a... So now we need to get our column names. So that's going to be services dot get member. So here we're going to be able to get all of the properties. And let's do where member type is equal to property. So that's going to be all of our properties here. And all we really want is select let's do select display name status and let's do service name in between here. All right, so now once we have all of these, let's go ahead and let's just see if the get member actually changes as well. Let's do services, get service. So if we look at services, display name, if we just do name maybe then? Okay. Still not actually work here, so let's go see our, it should be status, display name, and status. Okay, format as a table here, I guess. Let's see if it shows up properly. Okay, if we just do select status, for some reason it seems to not be functioning as I would expect this commandlet to be functioning at this point. Okay, so status, name, and display name. I don't know why before this wasn't working correctly, but that should be good. Now if we do this, we should be getting our properties. Get member, and then it is going to be a note property. Perfect. And let's do, so that's going to be properties. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do a for each property in properties. And let's go ahead and let's insert our cell info now for all of these. And this is going to have the, let's do a variable wrapper here. We're going to do a property dot name. So now if we do this, we should see our display name. Okay, so 1,000 might be a little bit too much. Let's do set width to 350. refresh the page. Perfect. Almost seems like it's only on first one there, but let's do 300. Let's do, actually, let's not even do the set width. Let's just see what it looks like without any width set. That looks okay. Okay, so I think it's, okay, so let's do table dot set width. Let's do 150. I think that'll be 150% of what's actually needed here. So the base size of that column. Okay, let's do 250. See what that looks like. It's a little bit bigger. That works. All right, and then what we're going to just do is we're going to do a for each once again, but this time we're going to do a for each service in services. And we're going to have to do this 3 different times here. And let's do a service dot status, service dot name, and service dot display name. If we go ahead, we run this. Let's go and look at our table here. There is our table. Oh, and it does go in order, I guess. So I guess that we would need to do a very specific order of what they actually show up as here. So let's do that as display name, that as name, and that as status here. Let's save that. Let's run it again. And let's go see our table. Yeah, so there you go. It's looking a little bit better now. So let's just go, let's change this width back to 100. And let's refresh this table here. Does seem to be a little bit off here because it's looking a little bit long, and I don't understand how they got so much data to show up here. We got this unit value, create percent value, but I don't know what that. Okay, so it is a iText layout dot property. Okay, so let's change that then. Let's go here. Let's go iText dot layout dot layout iText dot layout dot property dot properties dot unit value dot create percent value. We're going to do 100. So now if we do this, it should, based on kind of what I'm gathering, should get it to fit to like 100%, but it's still not. Which I'm not quite understanding, because it seems like that they were able to get way more, but they did actually do. Okay, so they actually got, they rotated their page. So we might have to rotate our page as well for these types of things here. So let's do that. So page size A4 rotate. So I wonder if I just do a Google of that, if that will actually get me so let's do a page size. We need to figure out where page size iText is. So if I do new PDF, and we do iText dot, I would imagine it would be in layout. I wonder if I could do similarly to how we kind of figured out what we wanted. So let's do a get member on this, maybe. Define type. How did we do? So if we go back into here, in this class validation, okay, so they did a get member on that. So if we do a dot layout dot document. Nothing that shows up there. Let's try to see if we can find anything else that might give us some hints. And let's just close out a bunch of these open PDF files here. Close that one. iText PDF. But it should just be iText7 page size. iText iText dot actually it has to be in layout. Layout again, maybe. Dot properties dot nothing there. Okay. Let's try to look in the GitHub and see if we can find anything in here. Maybe do any type of like rotation. Okay, so we might have found it here. So iText kernel.geom.page size. Okay, so do iText dot kernel dot geom dot page size. A4 rotate. Okay, so let's do that. So that should, in theory, rotate our page. Let's go see what it did. And it did. It rotated our page. Perfect. I really wish there was a way to shrink down, but I think just because like some of the names are just so long. I wonder if we do one, 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 if that changes anything. I wouldn't imagine because it's still Just takes up the right amount of space. Now, if we change it to take up 50% of the space, does that change anything? It does. Okay, so you would be able to potentially have it on a regular page here without the rotation if you set up the table to take up less space. Still does not really work. Let's do 25% maybe. It could really just be that we really need this rotated. Especially to do this type of table with this data in here. So let's just rotate that page again. Okay. That is that there. All right, well, here if we do 25 in this case, it will actually probably only take 25% of the space, or the least that it possibly can. So it does always take up more. It takes up the least that it needs to, but still giving it enough space to display properly. So this might be something to, have you said it was just top 3 services? Could be the width of the long names. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's just the width of like some of these longer names that's really affecting it. But it was more of like if you wanted to create reports, you might just have to play around with, depending on what type of data you're exporting, you might need to rotate it so you can get just longer things here. What we could always do as well is potentially even just scrap the display name altogether, because the display name might not necessarily be super handy. Maybe in some cases, maybe it is. It would have to be really, really kind of picked out in that sense there, but we could do it without the display name. And then we wouldn't need to rotate it outward. So if we remove this, put that here, run this code here, I'm sure that will look fine. Oh, it does seem, oh, because we removed a column here, we do need to remove this here to only make it so it's 2 columns, not 3, or else it's going to really show kind of wonky. There it is. So that looks fine. So yeah, so I think it really just comes down to some of the long names. Services have pretty crazy long names. If you're doing reports with users, you're probably not going to run into this issue depending on how long your usernames are. And of course, depending on how many properties you really want to display as well. But this could definitely create some pretty nice reports. Again, for people that aren't technical, or that you're giving these to your higher ups that might not want to go to a website or might not want to go to a dashboard to view that data. Personally, I still prefer dashboards over creating PDFs myself. But of course, PDFs, if you need to go into a meeting where you need to print out documents to show some different statistics or some different reports, PDFs are great in that aspect. So I think that that's definitely an ability that is very, very handy to have. And iText provides you a lot of like good tools, and we've only gone through chapter 1 so far. You can draw stuff on PDFs. as well, which is probably not going to be something that you do very greatly potentially. But as you can see, you can even do like some really nice formatting for text there as well. Some really, really nice tables with some formatting as well. So there are a lot of things that we can still do with iText. Um, but I do unfortunately have a lot of things to do today, so I don't think that we'll be able to dive too much deeper into those. But as you can see, um, you can do cell colors. So this is actually probably something that we can do right off the bat potentially. So let's actually do that for our example here. So in our status, and actually we can do it for both. If service.status is equal to, check one out here, is equal to stopped, let's do a this. And we are going to cell dot set background color to red. We're going to set that for both. And then let's go ahead and let's do an else statement here. So if it's not stopped, we're going to do green. Go ahead and let's run that here. Oh, we're seeing a whole bunch of errors. So set background color. Cannot set background color. Okay, so we need to define a color, it seems like. Let's see if we can find where to define a color. It almost seems like they aren't even creating them as variables. It just seems like they are. Okay, so let's do try color. Red color. I'm pretty sure these are variables. I don't think that this is going to work. No. So we need a color of some sort. So let's do cell dot set background color. So it's going to be set to a color. So let's do iText dot layout dot dot element dot so let's try to look up the colors option because I don't see, unless you guys see color options here. I do see this one, which is color dot black, but I don't know where the colors are still coming from. Unless they covered it in here. Okay, so it's a device CMYK is iText.kernel.colors. Okay, so we have a green color. We have a blue color. Okay, so let's do copy this. Go ahead and let's create our colors. So we don't need a gray color, but we do need a green. And we do need a red color. I think that magenta is kind of red, I think. It'll be kind of red. And let's do, this is going to be iText.kernel.colors dot. Oh, we can do a device RGB. That would actually be easier for me, I think. So RGB would just be 0, 1, 0. Then we can do this. And that'll be 0, that'll be 1. Now in theory, this should not give me an error. Perfect. And then we have red color. Red color. Green color. And we have a green color here as well. Let's go ahead and let's test this out here. And let's do a table. That does not, that is all black at this point. Which that's probably normal. So I think it's probably going to be these values here that we need to do. Let's change that to 255, which is typical RGB compared to 1. There we go. There we have it. So we have all of our services that are stopped in red, all of our services that are running in green. So that is perfect. Now, of course, just because they're stopped doesn't mean that there's an actual problem. You'd want to probably do some a little bit more determining of the start type like we've done in other videos. So as an example would be start type here. Let me just make sure that it's actually getting the start type. It is. And then we are going to do a third column here. And then the properties, we are going to do a startup type right here. Dot startup. Dot start type. Just copy paste that here underneath. That's the green color. And now basically what's going to be is if the status is equal to stopped, and the service status, the service start type is equal to automatic, then do the following colors. So now we should not have as many reds. We should have quite a few greens here. And there we have our first automatic stop. So that one maybe should not be stopped. Now again, there are some services that are automatic that don't necessarily need to be on all the time either. But if you do have servers in your environment, let's say running Skype or running SQL servers, you would know exactly what services you always want running. So you can always have this generating and creating PDFs, or maybe a documentation of what services always need to be on. And you can simply print these out. But again, if you're doing PDFs, these reports are going to be more so for people in upper management, I would assume, compared to a dashboard where you would actually probably monitor your live data. And that is pretty much it that I have for iText here today. In the next couple videos, we're probably going to take a look at the Windows Server 2025 preview. I've really been wanting to check that out to see what exactly is in there. I know that there's one big piece for us home labbers that's very important, which is the Wi-Fi is actually automatically enabled by default on it, which is very, very nice. Not really recommended for production, so it is still kind of weird that Microsoft has turned that on by default. But for home labbers, it means that we just have a little bit less work to do for it to be able to work with our Wi-Fi environment, if that's all we really have, especially if you're just running your home lab on a laptop that might not have a Ethernet port or something, or you just don't have the setup to be able to be wired in. So we can take a look at that next week, and then take a look at all the different new features on it, maybe set up a new virtual environment with our new Server 2025 preview box just as a test. Hopefully you guys will tune in for that. Once again, the live streams now start at roughly about 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. And again, I thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for tuning in. There will be another video out on Monday. Be sure to check that out. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to be notified when that video comes out. I will see you guys on the next live stream. Have yourselves a great weekend and hope to see you guys on Monday and next Saturday.